The real reason Trump is begging the Fed to cut interest rates. President Trump's calls to lower interest rates have intensified in recent days, and with good reason. Annual interest payments on the U.S. national debt have surged to $1.2 trillion over the past 12 months, highlighting the precarious fiscal state of the world's largest economy. Interest expenses have surpassed healthcare and defense spending by approximately $300 billion. Interest payments currently account for 18% of all federal tax revenue, just shy of the record 19% seen in the 1980s, when interest rates reached historic highs of nearly 19%. Washington's soaring interest payments are being driven by two key factors: persistent fiscal deficits and the Federal Reserve's reluctance to cut interest rates amid ongoing inflation concerns. Persistent fiscal deficits, yeah, that literally is how debts are born. You have $100 coming in revenue, but you spend $110 in liabilities, or you have $110 in liabilities, or you spend $110. That means that $10 is now debt. You do that over a number of years, then that accumulates over time. So persistent fiscal deficits is definitely a reason why the debt has grown to where it is and why interest payments are increasing. Many economists have warned that the deficit could grow even larger if President Trump's proposed Big Beautiful Bill is enacted. Given these risks, the president is unlikely to convince Fed Chair Jerome Powell to cut interest rates soon. President Trump's latest tirade against Fed Chair Jerome Powell came earlier this month when he took to social media to label Powell a numbskull and a dumb guy for refusing to cut interest rates. Trump argued that rates should be no higher than 2%, implying more than 200 basis points of cuts from current levels. He also claimed the U.S. has virtually no inflation and that our economy is doing really well. Powell, however, sees things differently. Following the Federal Reserve's recent decision to leave interest rates unchanged, Powell said the central bank is well positioned to wait. He warned of potential stagflation risks as economic growth slows and tariff-related inflation pressures return. Everyone that I know is forecasting a meaningful increase in inflation in coming months from tariffs because someone has to pay for the tariffs, Powell said during a press conference, noting that those costs will likely fall somewhere along the supply chain, whether on manufacturers, exporters, importers, or retailers. We all know this. This is not conjecture. This is not speculation. This is basic factual economics. We understand how tariffs work. They will tangibly, directly increase inflation. That's literally how they work. It is an increase in the cost. That is, by definition, inflation. The central bank's next policy meeting is scheduled for July 29th/30th, though traders expect that any meaningful chance of a rate cut may not materialize until the following meeting in September, according to CME Group's FedWatch tool. The September meeting will also unveil the Fed's latest projections for GDP, unemployment, inflation, and interest rates. Anytime I see Trump mad at somebody, my initial reaction is that they actually probably are the good guy and that the reason Trump's mad at them is probably really stupid. And this is absolutely a case for that. My understanding is that Powell has been doing a pretty good job at the Fed, that they have been continuing despite being appointed by Trump during his first term, that Powell has done a good job keeping the Fed independent and not capitulating to any of Trump's economical stupid demands, like lowering the interest rates or raising them when it doesn't economically make the most sense to do so. I've talked about this earlier. I'm very worried about what's going to happen in 2026 when Jerome Powell's term is up. When Trump said he's already been interviewing new potential Fed heads, I'm worried that he's going to put in some lunatic, some pure sycophant who maybe even doesn't even have an economics degree or doesn't understand or have any experience in the field of economics, but that is just going to do whatever he wants him to do. And I worry the impacts that could have on the American economy at large are tremendous, right? I'm not going to be alarmist or a doomsday person or whatever, but like it would not blow my mind. This is one of the ways that the collapse of the American economy could theoretically happen, is if Trump implements some sort of stooge sycophant for the Fed chair head, and then they just do whatever he wants, and Trump's reasoning is completely devoid from economic reality. And so that is one of the ways that, in combination with us backing like a cryptocurrency or something, is one of the ways I could totally see the American economy just completely collapsing. Do I think that's going to happen? Probably not, but it is totally conceivable.